RG3 bounces back from a concussion in a very big way, but now he has to face the New York Giants. Welcome into Hot Reads, our weekly look at the NFL with Hall of Fame quarterback Tory Aikman. My name is Tom Vandervoort, and Troy, we look at RG3 this year. He's been very impressive in a number of ways. League-leading completion percentage. We've seen a ton of plays that he's made out there, game-changing plays, and leadership in the locker room seems to be a strong suit of his as well. What impresses you most about RG3 so far this year?
Well, a lot of things. You mentioned the completion percentage. That certainly is impressive because what it points to is that he is not being fooled, and that's usually what happens for a young quarterback when he comes into the league and all the various looks that he sees, and yet he knows where to go with the football. He's not making mistakes. A lot of the things that he was able to do in college, you always wonder then how's that going to transition to the NFL because of the speed of the game, and yet we saw it last week, in that win against Minnesota, the way that he was able to run. We've seen it all year, but especially that run and 76 yards and the types of things that he did there at Baylor. So it's been really impressive. And I've seen so many young quarterbacks, Cam Newton last year, Matt Ryan years ago, Ben Roethlisberger, so many quarterbacks come into the league in recent years and really play at a high level. That never happened before. And I think these kids are coming out of college so much better trained, certainly than I ever was when I came out of UCLA.
And talk a little bit about the leadership qualities that he has, because I know coming into a league as a young guy, you're the quarterback, so you're really kind of the leader of this football team, but you're also still a rookie.
Well, sometimes it can be difficult because as a first-year player, there's certainly a spotlight on that quarterback and a lot is expected, but yet you have to earn your stripes within the locker room, and you do that by going out and playing well. And so, from what I've seen of him, he's clearly played well. So now he's earned the respect of those guys in the locker room. They expected big things, but not right away. And now he's able to be more vocal than what he otherwise maybe would be able to be if he wasn't playing as well as he's playing. And we've seen that. That we've seen veteran guys. We've seen guys on the other side of the ball like London Fletcher talk about the kind of impact that this young player has had, on their football team and the way that he plays and the excitement and the enthusiasm and the youthfulness that he brings. It's all been very, very good. And, from my perspective, you look at the Redskins right now, and clearly it's early in the season, but you've got to believe that the Redskins are going to be a team for years to come that's going to be competitive and playing very good football.
Now, last year, of course, the Redskins beat the Giants a couple of times, and I just wonder, were there matchups in those games? I know you saw at least one of them that kind of favor the Redskins, and what do they have to do to make it 3 in a row against New York?
Well, there are some teams that, for whatever reason, you just match up pretty well against, and on paper you'd say, wow, this doesn't look particularly good, but yet, you talk about the success that the Redskins had last year, that sometimes happens, and that certainly, was the case last season. I think the thing that they did a pretty good job of against New York was they didn't allow New York to run the ball, that well, and they were able to create some takeaways. When you look at the way that the Giants are playing, and especially the way that they've won the last 2 games, they're playing at a high level clearly. A big win last week against San Francisco, but the last 2 weeks they have run the ball exceptionally well, better really than they have in the last year and a half, and I think that's why we've seen them explode the way that they have offensively. Eli's certainly capable of carrying that team, but they're a better team when they're able to run the ball and use the play action.
Now, from the Giants' perspective, of course, you got to feel pretty good about yourself. You're 4-2, great performance last week against San Francisco. But in the back of your mind, you might say to yourself, we're 0-2 in the division. We have lost 2 in a row to this particular football team. How important is this weekend's game to the New York Giants?
Well, it's important because they've, as you said, they've lost 2 games, but those 2 games have been within the division, and so they can't really afford to lose another divisional game this early. It's more than just losing a game. It's essentially a game and a half because of the tiebreakers. This NFC East is really shaping up the way that we kind of anticipated early on, except for the Redskins have been somewhat of a surprise. But this is going to be a great race right down to the wire. A big win last week for Washington, a great opportunity this week, and a good chance for the Giants then to win a divisional game, and something that they've failed to do the last 2 times out.
All right, man. Thank you so much. Appreciate your time this week, and we'll catch up with you next week.
You bet, Tom. Thank you, buddy.